This is the Sirui 75mm F1.8 anamorphic lens designed for APS-C mirrorless cameras. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is why it took Sirui, well, over a year to send this lens out to me for review. But anyway, I'm going to review it in this video, and before I start, I'm going to talk about cheesy Christmas movies. You know, those ones on Netflix, on Hulu, on Prime Video with very predictable plot lines, cheesy acting, low budgets, those. Well, on occasion, my wife and I end up watching one of those cheesy Christmas movies, and I figured, while I have this anamorphic lens, why not try to recreate a cheesy Christmas movie trailer? Here's what we came up with.
Professional editor Jenna has always hated Christmas.
I'm always alone, I can't find a boyfriend, everyone else is married, and they ran out of Cheetos at Target.
But when she gets fired from her job, evicted from her house, and car gets repoed, she has to move back in with her Aunt Maggie.
You should really get back out there. It's been 2 years since your horrible breakup.
When she runs into an old friend from high school who just happens to also be single for the past 15 years.
Danny?
Jenna?
Will this make Jenna finally believe in the magic of Christmas? Or will things spiral further out of control?
Look, I like you, but you're crazy sometimes.
And when the entire town runs out of cookies at the annual Christmas Snow Festival.
They're all gone. There's no more cookies? No, the box is empty.
Threatening the livelihood of every resident of Foggy Springs, Jenna springs into action.
I will bake cookies for everyone because that's what Christmas is all about. It's love and it's magical and it's beautiful. Woo!
Can Jenna turn things around? Will she find love? And will she finally learn to love magical memories she makes during Christmas?
Alright, so you saw a little bit of this lens's performance, but before I get into it, let's talk about how it comes packaged, because it comes in a nice box with microfiber pouch, a warranty card, and a manual. The lens itself is vacuum sealed, which is nice because you know you're getting a new lens. From a styling perspective, it's very similar to other anamorphic APS-C lenses from Sirui. Plastic lens caps, a square blue tinted front lens element, an all metal and glass design with a smooth aperture ring and very light and smooth focus ring. It's a good looking lens and it feels solid and premium because it is. Inside there are 16 elements in 12 groups and a whopping 13 blades for the diaphragm. Now this is a 75mm anamorphic lens with a 1.33X squeeze, which isn't much in terms of anamorphic, but let me tell you why I don't think that that is necessarily a bad thing, because the whole idea behind an anamorphic lens is you use your normal size sensor and you get a wider image, thereby you get a widescreen image with natural black bars on top and bottom without sacrificing resolution. Now Hollywood and fancy movie studios will use 1.8x or 2x anamorphic lenses that cost more than some small homes in Texas, and they record in very high resolution so they can crop whatever they need in post. The problem with using a 1.8x anamorphic lens on your 4x3 or 16x9 censored camera is you end up shooting yourself in the foot. You are using an anamorphic lens in the first place to get more data and avoid having to just reduce resolution by putting black bars on top and bottom. But after an extensive crop into something like 2.35:1, you have lost a ton of the original resolution anyway. At 1.33x, you get just enough squeeze that when you de-squeeze, you get a nice movie-esque widescreen aesthetic without having to crop in and reduce resolution. But this does come at the expense of some aspects of the optical qualities. What do we always talk about when it comes to anamorphic lenses? Well, 3 things. Number 1 is the aspect ratio, number 2 is flaring, and number 3 is the oval bokeh, hopefully. So the aspect ratio I think I just covered. It's 1.33x, which is enough, but not as much as some die-hard anamorphic fans will desire. This lens gives you about 56 56mm worth of horizontal data, so after a D-squeeze you can think of the lens as more like a 56mm on APS-C, but with less vertical information. But if you are thinking in full frame terms, then you multiply that by 1.5x, and so you get more like an 84mm horizontal resolution, obviously with less vertical resolution. So about an 85 or 84mm on a full frame. Okay, next up is flaring, and this lens does produce some nice flares. They're nice, broad, blue flares as you would expect from Sirui. The flares are a little less intense than what we saw on some of their wider variations in this lineup, so they aren't as distracting, but all in all, it's a definitive anamorphic look. For me, I like to have a little bit of lens flare in shots like this. That's why I'm shooting with an anamorphic lens in the first place, so no complaints about lens flare. Last up is the bokeh, which is smooth. It's nice. You get ovals, not huge, long ovals like what some people obsess over, but I found the bokeh to be very good. It's much better than what we saw with the 35mm and the 50mm, and this is the reason I personally like this 75mm more than the others from Sirui. For dialogue and portrait video shots, you need nothing more than this lens. There is a ton of subject separation and everything renders out beautifully. The entire edit at the beginning of this video was not color graded at all, so you can see just how this lens performs in different lighting situations. I have to mention sharpness as well, which is a strong suit with this lens. It's the sharpest one out of the ones I've tested from Sirui. It's very good, and that is a testament to the development of this lens, because getting a sharp f1.8 anamorphic lens at 75mm is not an easy task. Most anamorphic lenses are simply not sharp. Now, as for negatives, minimum focus is about 4 feet, which is normal for anamorphic lenses, but does take some getting used to. The other lenses in the Sirui lineup do focus closer. I also think the addition of gear rings would have been a good touch, as I wanted to mount this on a gimbal and use a wireless controller for focus, and I think that's about it for negatives. The colors are great, the focus ring is a joy to use. Really, this is a great little anamorphic lens. If I could only have one from Sirui, this would be the one that I would choose. Add to that, the pricing on this lens is solid. Now that is where things get interesting, because this lens initially launched on Indiegogo as a campaign, and the campaign price, if I can remember correctly, was $670 or so US. And the idea being that once they went into full production with this lens, the full retail price would be $899, so $900. Right now, you can get this thing on Amazon, on B&H for $599, so $600, $300 off of the supposed real retail price. And for $600, you'll be hard-pressed to find any anamorphic lens, let alone a good one. So I do recommend it if you want something different and something that could inspire you to create movies or cinematic video or cheesy Christmas movie trailers. It's a nice lens. Links with more information will be down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.